I never thought I'd fall in love with the lie. He walked into class like everyone else, messy hair, expensive sneakers disguised as knockoffs, a smirk that could disarm a room. His name, or so he said, was Adrian. To me, he was just another transfer student trying to blend in. To everyone else, he was mysterious, aloof, untouchable. To my heart, he was dangerous, without me knowing why. We started talking after he borrowed my pen and never gave it back. Little things, study sessions in the library, walking home after night classes, inside jokes that made me feel like the world existed in a bubble around us. He wasn't like the other students. He carried himself like a man who had seen too much. His hands were scarred, his phone calls whispered, his eyes scanning every exit in a room. I told myself it was paranoia. I told myself he was just different, but deep down, I knew. The truth broke through one night when he invited me to a cafe on the edge of town. As we sipped coffee, three men in suits walked in, tense and sharp, their eyes locked on him. They weren't students. They weren't teachers. They were soldiers. Adrian's smirk vanished. "Wait here," he told me, and in a second, he was no longer the boy who forgot to hand in homework. He was someone else, commanding, cold, terrifyingly calm. The men bowed slightly, muttered something about the shipment and the family. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't dating a student. I was falling in love with the Mafia boss hiding in plain sight. My world tilted. Every late-night phone call I'd ignored, every scar I'd traced on his skin, every time he'd said, "You don't know who I really am," it all clicked. He wasn't here to study. He was hiding from rivals, using the school as camouflage. And I was the idiot who had fallen for him. But love makes you reckless. Instead of running, I leaned in. He confessed one night under flickering streetlights. His real name was Adrian Moretti, heir to the Moretti crime family, hunted by enemies, betrayed by allies. He had come here to disappear, to buy time, to pretend he was normal. "You were never supposed to be part of this," he said, voice cracking in a way that almost made me believe him. Almost. Because the deeper I fell, the more I realized he wasn't just hiding. He was playing me too. I overheard him one night speaking in low tones on the phone. "She's perfect cover. No one suspects the girl." My blood ran cold. I wasn't his love. I was his shield. That's when the revenge part of me woke up. I refused to be a pawn in his bloody game. If he wanted to use me, then I'd turn the board upside down. Quietly, I began collecting pieces. Whispers from his conversations, names of men he mentioned, photos of ledgers left on his desk when he thought I wasn't watching. What he didn't know was that my uncle was a detective who had spent his career trying to bring down the Morettis. For years, I'd heard fragments of stories about them over dinner, and now here one was, kissing my lips and lying to my face. But life doesn't hand out neat lines between love and hate. Somewhere between betrayal and obsession, I found myself still craving him. He made me feel alive, and that was the worst part. And then came the night that changed everything. A rival gang ambushed us as we walked home from a party. Black SUVs, masked men, guns pulled. I thought it was the end. But Adrian moved like a storm, dragging me behind a wall, firing back with a weapon I didn't even know he carried. His enemies called out, taunting him. The prince hiding as a student. Pathetic. It was chaos, gunshots, sirens, my heart breaking in real time. That's when I realized he wasn't the only one he had lied to. His enemies hadn't expected me. I wasn't just a cover. I was leverage. They used me against him. One grabbed me, pressed cold metal against my temple, and shouted, "Choose, Moretti, the girl or your empire." Adrian froze, and for a split second, I saw the truth. He hesitated. The empire mattered more. That hesitation shattered me more than any bullet could. I twisted out of their grip, ran into the alley, and disappeared before he could stop me. I went dark after that. No calls, no text, Nothing. I fed everything I had collected to my uncle. Names, dates, shipments, weaknesses. But I didn't hand it all over. I kept the most important piece. The account numbers, the offshore funds, the leverage that could ruin Adrian and his rivals both. If I was going to play this game, I wasn't just going to hand over my revenge. I was going to orchestrate it. While Adrian scrambled to find me, his enemies began to close in, tipped off by the information I leaked anonymously. His empire started to crumble. Deals fell through, soldiers defected, whispers of betrayal spread like fire. And just when he thought he'd cornered me again, tracking me down to a safe house I'd been hiding in, he walked into the trap. Not mine, but his enemies. They had followed him. And suddenly, the hunter was prey. But here's the thing. I wasn't heartless. Watching him fight for his life, bleeding and brutal, I realized the truth I had been running from. I still loved him. And so I did the unthinkable. I stepped out of the shadows and revealed the trump part. Those offshore accounts. I offered his enemies a deal. Walk away, take the money, leave Adrian alive. They took it, greedy and blind. And just like that, Adrian was saved, but penniless. His empire was ashes. He looked at me afterwards, broken and bewildered. He asked, "Why? Why save me after everything?" I said, "Because I loved you, and because I wanted you to feel what I felt, betrayed, powerless, alone." I walked away then, leaving him with nothing but the wreckage of the empire he had chosen over me. He had been a boss, a liar, a manipulator, but to me, he would always be the boy who pretended to be a student and taught me the sharpest lesson of all. Sometimes love isn't the end game. Sometimes revenge is. And when I look back now, I don't regret a thing.